Declan, I want to ask you about Mason Mount. You know him so well. You've grown up with him. He's a good friend of yours. He tends to get a lot of stick on social media, and I wonder what you make of that. Do a lot of people fail to appreciate what he offers to a side and just how adaptable he is? And does he talk to you about that sort of thing?
No, we don't speak about it. But like you just said, then I think it's very harsh. I witness it here. When I come to train here, I've trained with him since I was a kid, so I know what his mentality's like. I know how hard working, how driven he is, and it's no surprise, that Gareth picks him, that Frank picks him, and I think if you give every Premier League manager the chance to pick him, they'd pick him as well, because if you see day in day out what he gives to the team, as an individual, he's a top talent. So yeah, definitely, I think the criticism is very harsh.
I love Mason. It's a bit annoying actually because he probably gets a little bit of stick at times from it. But I've always been close with Mace. I think he's an absolutely terrific player. And I don't really think we're even fighting for the same spot, to be honest. But yeah, like I said, I think if anything, Mason's underrated and he deserves all the credit he gets. And I think people that know about football will understand just how good he is.
Mason Mount made 3 starts for England during this international break. It's now, 5 starts for England in a row. How impressed have you been with his development as an international? And are you at all concerned about the amount of football that he's playing?
Well, I'm impressed with his development, and I think it shows you how much Gareth and Steve rely on him and trust in him. I have done for my time in management, to be honest, and I think it's nice to have seen a lot of positivity around Mason. I think it's well deserved, and maybe because he's not a player that, or maybe he's a player that has more quality passes, impressive moments in a game than a show reel of step overs and flicks. Maybe that's not as exciting to the modern fan, but for us managers of him, I think you can see how much we rely on him. I get Gareth's position in playing him. He's played 3 games. He was the only player in the England squad of all the European playing players at club level that played 3 games. So I know it adds to his games, but I understand Gareth's position and I understand what where he will be with that. The good thing about Mason is he's a great attitude. He's a fit young man, and we'll have a lot of games coming up which I'll need him to be fit for.
To base my free kick on Ronaldo, hit the ball by the valve and it moves. So what do? Top corner, top bin zone. Oh!
Hi, you okay?
Hi Jerry, yes, good, thanks.
Mason Mount's had to overcome a lot of criticism on social media. England fans didn't think he should have got ahead of Grealish. And even, earlier this season there were Chelsea fans on social media thinking he was sort of getting selected, even comments like he's Frank Lampard's son, that sort of thing. Do you think he has to work a bit harder because he's come through the ranks and he's not a sort of big expensive signing? I mean, you had it at West Ham in your early days, didn't you?
Yeah. Every individual's different, and I don't know it's necessarily because he came through the academy, but I do think now, listen, I think we have a huge fan base, and you talk about England, and the social media world has changed the face of how people critique or look at football, and it's very easy for somebody to sit on a phone and make very harsh statements. With Mason, I think I said this before the last game, and I think there can go something about him that maybe he looks clean cut. I think he's doing one advert at the minute where he takes his top off. That's about as edgy as Mason gets. He doesn't do too many triple step overs and flicks over the back of his head in areas that he shouldn't do. He makes really efficient, clean, sharp passes. He presses as well as any midfield player that I've worked with or played alongside, and does a 100 things within his game that impress the managers that he works for. So I think he's very easy and casual because he hasn't got an Instagram reel of those kind of flicks, and it's different type of football. I think it's easy that people can bracket him off. I certainly don't, and when I say that, I don't want to. I don't want to add fuel to the fire of him being my son, because I've just been so positive about him. Because I know Mason has got a lot to improve on, and then that's what takes you on to his attitude and his desire to improve. He can score more goals, he can make more assists, but he's a quality football player who's only going to get better, and that's how I feel about him. But make no mistake, Mason Mount or any player in this squad will not be getting any form of favouritism from me about playing in a position when there is competition in this squad. We need to have a driven competition amongst everybody in the squad, and midfield areas I've got options, in wide areas now we have options where we had injuries earlier in the season, so it's competitive for everybody, and nobody gets the edge from me other than on how they train and how they perform.
Loic Willie, RNC.
Yeah, it obviously means a lot to me to have two managers that trust me and are willing to put me in big games, and yeah, I'd always be ready for any opportunity I get. So yeah, it means a lot, and as a midfielder and the way I am personally, I want to score as many goals as I can. That's always been our goal. Yeah, as I said, we know what we can achieve. We know the level of players in this group. We can never be content with being at the top of the group in the Champions League and going to the top of the league and being close to it, being in and around it. We can never be content with that. We know what we can do in this group, and our goal is always to be number one and to push for titles. And I think, yeah, for me personally, my standard is always to go into the next season wanting to do better, wanting to do more, and wanting to achieve more. And I've done that throughout my whole career. Yeah, maybe when I was in the academy, I did a little flick here and there and a little step over. But as you get older, I learned in the Championship. That was my first kind of experience of it. They don't always come off, and players that are experienced and going to read that, they know what you're going to do. So I think, and obviously coming to the Premier League and coming back to Chelsea, being quick on the ball, knowing what you've got to do before the ball comes to you is most important thing. And as a midfielder, you're always going to have that pressure in there to move the ball quickly. We're playing in the Champions League and playing in the Premier League, the best league in the world, so the ball needs to move quicker than what you do. And I've definitely learned that, especially last season as well. So just trying to evolve my game to be quick, to know what I've got to do when the ball comes to me, and yeah, I think that's definitely something that I've learned over the last couple of years.